Alright, so the second part of the installation process after you've transferred the files on the EC2 instance is to set up our ports and a security policy. So the very first thing that you should understand is that our app is working on port 3000. Now whenever we try and access the EC2 instance by using the Elastic IP, it's going to use the HTTP protocol, which has a default port of port 80. So we need a way by which all requests going to port 80 are forwarded to the app that we have built on port 3000 and vice versa. So let's do that. The first thing that I need to do is to go into the AWS Management Console, and you'll notice that every EC2 instance has a security group attached. The security group essentially defines the ports that are open for this server. So let's click on the Launch Wizard 3. That's the name of the security group that is attached to our server. So let's click on this link. And you can see here that we have a security group already built and attached. This was created when we created the EC2 instance in the first place. Next, what we'll do is in the inbound section, I'm going to click on edit. You can see that we already have the SSH port open by which we are able to connect using PuTTY. We'll click on add rule and add the all TCP rule, which will allow the WebSockets within our app to function correctly. Another thing that I want to do is open port 80, which is the HTTP protocol, allowing the app to function like a website. Click on save, and that sets up our security group. Next, what we need to do is set up port forwarding on the server so that all requests going to port 80 are forwarded to port 3000 where our app is running on. So connect to the server using PuTTY. I'm already logged in. The first thing that we need to do is we need to enable IP forwarding before we can set up port forwarding. For setting up IP forwarding, we will have to edit a configuration file on the server. To do that, type sudo followed by a space, type vim, which is a text editor within the Linux environment, followed by /etc, another /sysctl.conf. This is a configuration file. Press enter and a configuration file opens in front of you. Now scroll down till you come across a line which says net.ipv4.ip_forward is equal to 1, and you can see that this particular statement has been commented out. So what we need to do is we need to uncomment this line and we need to save this configuration file. Now Vim is a text editor within the Linux environment. So the way it works is you will press the insert button and you can see the insert written at the bottom. Next, remove the comment that is against this line. Then press escape to enter the command mode. Then hold shift and put a colon, and we'll type W and Q. W and Q means write out the file and quit the editor. So by doing this, we will overwrite the changes and return back to the prompt. Now to activate the changes, what we'll need to do, we'll need to type sudo followed by sysctl, put a space, -p, another space, /etc, again /sysctl.conf. And once you've done that, you'll see that it it gives you that particular statement, the changes that we have made, and this enables IP forwarding on our server. So the first step is you set up your security groups to enable the ports on your server. The second step is we edit this configuration file sysctl.conf, and then we activate the changes. So this sets up the IP forwarding. Once you've done that, it's time to set up port forwarding. So let me clear out the screen. Just type CLEAR. Then to forward all requests to port 80, the default HTTP port, to our port 3000 on the Node app, we're going to type sudo followed by IP tables, okay, followed by -t space NAT, again put a space, hyphen uppercase A, followed by uppercase pre-routing, again put a space, hyphen P, then put a space, TCP, again put a space, double hyphen DPORT or D port, put a space and type 80. So that's the port 80 that we're mentioning. Put another space, hyphen J, another space, now type redirect, another space, double hyphen 2, single hyphen ports, put a space, and the port on which our Node app is working, which in this case is 3000. Once you've done this, press enter, and this sets up port forwarding. Now that port forwarding is active, the next thing that I want to do is configure the Linux firewall to allow port 80 to communicate. So at this point in time, the Linux firewall is preventing any connections on port 80. So let's enable the connections by configuring the firewall. To do that, simply type sudo IP tables -a input, and make sure you type it in uppercase like how it is. Then -p TCP -m TCP double hyphen SPORT or sport 80 -j accept, and press enter. Okay, so that's input, and we have to do the same thing for the output as well. So let's type sudo IP tables -a output -p TCP -m TCP double hyphen D port 80 -j accept. So there you go. So once we have the setup, we can just test this out. Let's go into the PhotoGRID folder, type node app.js, and let's try and access our server. Press enter, and there you go. Our app is working perfectly fine. Let's go to one of these images and click on the vote up button, and you can see that this functionality works fine. Let's try and upload a file. So click on choose file. Let's pick a file. So let's pick up this image, click on open, click on upload, and you can see that the progress bar works fine. And it saves, and you have the image over here. Alright, so we have seen how IP forwarding is enabled. We have seen how the firewall is set up. We have seen how port forwarding works. There's just one tiny problem. The problem is that these settings will not persist. If you restart the server, these settings will not persist. So how do we ensure that whenever we restart the server, port 80 forwards to port 3000 and the firewall configuration also works? So let's clear out. Now to make all these port forwarding settings persistent, because at this point in time, if you were to restart the server, these settings would not persist. Therefore, to make this IP tables configuration persistent, we will install a package called IP tables persistent. So let's do that by typing sudo apt-get install IP tables -persistent. And once this is done, type sudo bash -c double quotes IP tables -save to /etc another /IP tables dot rules dot v4 and close the quotes and press enter. So that finishes up with the configuration, and now these settings would persist even if you were to restart the server. So let's just try that once. I'm going to go into the AWS Management Console and we will right click here and we will say stop, or we can just directly click on reboot also. But let me just stop the server. Click on yes. Give it a moment as it stops the server. Our connection has been closed, naturally, because the server is being shut down. So just close this for a second. And the server is now stopped. So let's right click now and click on start. Click on yes. And the server is running now. So let's telnet in to the server. Let's go into the PhotoGRID folder. Before I run the app, I must do an export node_env is equal to production, since we're running the app manually, and then node app.js gets the PhotoGRID app up and running. Let's go to the page, reload, and you can see everything works absolutely fine. So this means that now our IP tables configuration persists even after a restart. But there's just one tiny issue which you would have noticed by now, that if I were to restart the server, I have to log in and manually start the PhotoGRID app. Now that's quite cumbersome. So in the next video, we will configure the EC2 instance so that whenever we restart the server, the node app is automatically started for us.